Today, we're diving into the very engine room of a startup scene, the ecosystem itself. And based on our source material, the Slovak ecosystem has been overlooking one single critical question that could literally change everything.
Just let that sink in for a second. What if we brought the same urgency, the same resources, the same all-in mentality that we demand from startups and applied it to the very foundation they're built on? It's a huge idea, and it's at the heart of everything we're about to talk about.
So, to really get why that question is so important, we have to look at how things are actually working right now. You could call it the after-hours model.
And here's the honest truth of it. The people who are most passionate, the connectors, the organizers, the ones laying the actual groundwork for innovation, well, they're doing all this critical work on the side. It's not their main job, it's their second shift.
And I'm sure this feels familiar to anyone who's been in the scene. You know what I'm talking about. It's the evening panels after you've already had a full day at work. It's the weekend conferences that cut into your family time. It's a whole lot of volunteer passion that's just squeezed into the margins of life.
But here's the crazy part. We don't really see this as a problem. It's just the way it is. We all show up, we network, we talk about momentum, and then we all go home. We've completely normalized an unsustainable model and just accepted it as the standard.
And this whole after-hours thing, it leads to what the source calls the momentum myth. It feels like we're making progress, but are we actually getting the results that we need? Just think about that. 7 years. That is a long time to be talking about a snowball, still waiting for it to really start rolling downhill.
And hey, to be fair, the dialogue is getting more sophisticated. The people in the room are getting smarter. There's definitely a feeling of progress in the air.
But here's the punchline, right? All these better conversations, they just haven't translated into better outcomes at the highest level.
And this is the undeniable fact at the center of it all. While all its neighbors in Central and Eastern Europe are cranking out billion-dollar companies, Slovakia is still on the sidelines. Now, this isn't because there's a lack of talent. It's a symptom of a system that's just not working right.
This really shifts the whole conversation, doesn't it? It's not about pointing fingers at the dedicated volunteers who are burning themselves out. It's about asking a much tougher question. Is the after-hours model itself fundamentally broken?
Okay, so if the current model is broken, what's the alternative? Well, it's taking a professional approach.
And this is where the massive double standard just becomes so clear. We tell startup founders, go all in. Hire a full-time team, obsess over your metrics, raise capital. But for the people building the very infrastructure that supports those founders, we expect them to run on passion alone, in the evenings and on weekends. It's a huge disconnect.
So, what does a professional approach actually look like? It means this work gets funded, not just applauded at a conference. It means we see this as a strategic bet on the entire country's economic future, not just some feel-good CSR project for a company to slap its logo on.
This brings us to a really crucial distinction: community versus infrastructure. Look, community is absolutely vital. Those evening meetups create buzz, they create energy, but professional infrastructure, full-time, funded initiatives, that's what creates lasting change. Both matter for sure, but only one of them truly scales.
Okay, so what does all this mean for you? How do we go from just talking about the problem to actually being part of the solution? Let's break down a few things you can actually do. All right, here are 4 steps. 1. Talk about this stuff publicly, not just in private chats. 2. Really back the people who are already doing the work and with more than just showing up. 3. Push your own company to think bigger about this. And finally, number 4, demand a higher standard of professionalism from everyone.
And that third point, pushing your company, that one is so key. It really means challenging them to move beyond surface-level support, beyond just the optics of, being involved.
Because really, a logo on a banner is just marketing. A real investment, that's a multi-year, funded commitment to building something specific. That's the real difference between just being a sponsor and being a strategic partner.
And finally, here are some questions to keep in your back pocket. Start asking them in panels, in meetings, in everyday conversations. Just ask, why is this foundational work still unpaid? Who actually benefits from keeping it that way? And what could this all look like if it were different? It might feel a little uncomfortable, but that visibility creates pressure, and pressure is what creates change.
Because let's be absolutely crystal clear about one thing. This whole conversation is not about a lack of potential. The talent is here. The ideas are here. The raw materials are totally abundant. So we end right back where we started, with a fundamental choice. Does Slovakia want to keep treating its own ecosystem development like a side project, like an after-hours hobby? Or is it finally time to decide that building the foundation isn't just important, but that it actually deserves to be the main event? The answer to that question could really change everything.